My wife told me I was being insecure for questioning her friendship with my best friend. But when I walked in and saw the truth for myself, I realized I wasn't paranoid. I was right all along. I don't even know where to begin. I can't describe how I'm feeling right now or how to process any of this. I made this account initially to see if anyone else has gone through something remotely similar to this, and unfortunately, it's not that uncommon. I apologize in advance for the length of this post. I just needed to get this all out because I thought I'd go insane. I, 27, met my wife, we'll call her Sue, 27F, in college. We were both 18 at the time. We hit it off as soon as we went on our first date and were saying I love you within weeks of dating. She kind of pursued me, but I was glad as hell that she did. We shared our deepest insecurities and secrets with each other. And when her dad passed away in her senior year of college, I was there for her through the whole ordeal. Her father had pancreatic cancer, and when he was hospitalized, I'd spend nights at the hospital with her so she wouldn't be alone. We got through it, and that time strengthened our bond. She told me she didn't know what she would have done if I hadn't been there for her. She called me her soulmate. I knew I was going to marry this girl, and sure enough, I popped the question about 2 years after we graduated. At that point in time, life couldn't get any better for me. I married the girl of my dreams, had a well-paying job immediately after graduating, and both our families loved us. My best friend, we'll call him Dave, 26M, and I had what I could only describe as an unbreakable brotherly bond, or so I thought. We had known each other since 3rd grade, and he was the brother I never had. He was also married and moved away with his wife because she had landed a lucrative job at a big law firm. About a year ago, his wife died in a car crash, and this broke him. He moved back to our hometown after, but he was never the same. I tried to be there for him, but he wouldn't engage with anyone. No one understood the pain he was going through. So I asked my wife if she could talk to him, seeing if she had also lost a loved one and that maybe Dave could relate better to someone who had gone through something similar. Yes, I know now that this was a huge mistake. We'd visit him daily. She would spend hours on end at his place even without me there. They were going on hikes together, watching movies without inviting me, grabbing lunch, all things couples do. Now, obviously, this was far more interaction than I had intended for them to have, and it did make me uncomfortable, but Dave was doing much better because of it. It's important to say that Dave and Sue never liked each other before all this happened. Sue always thought he was a douche. Before he married his wife, Dave was bouncing from relationship to relationship, and even after he got with his late wife, he constantly cheated on her. As a result, Sue had a particular dislike for him and always questioned how I could be friends with someone with such low morals. This disdain for Dave is also what made me oblivious to what was to come. As I mentioned, Sue and Dave became inseparable to the point where she would invite him to things I had planned for us as a couple. Moreover, she started portraying characteristics of what I now know to be classic cheater behavior, always on her phone, becoming increasingly distant, little to no intimacy, and coming home very late. At this point, it was all too suspicious, and one day, while she was texting, I asked who she was talking to. She said it was one of her girlfriends, and when I asked to see what they were saying, she became very irritated and called me possessive. When I talked to Dave about how uncomfortable their friendship was making me, he assured me nothing was up and even accused me of not trusting him or my own wife. I was getting gaslit. This continued until one day, Sue went out again. She said she was going to her sister's for the weekend because she needed some space from me since I was driving her crazy with my accusations. I was still very suspicious and called her sister to confirm if she was expecting Sue to visit. She confirmed that she was but that Sue had not yet arrived. Mind you, she had left around 3 p.m. and her sister's place is about 4 hours away from where we live. It was now 10 p.m. Something in the back of my head told me to go to my friend's house, so I did. Sure enough, my wife's car was parked a couple of feet away from Dave's house. At this point, it was clear as day what was going on, and I hate to admit it, but I cried hard. After a few minutes, I decided to go in and see if this was really happening. I went in through the back door, which I knew would be open. I quietly made my way in, and I could hear my wife and Dave upstairs. I was shaking. When I made it to the door of his bedroom, I could see through the crack, Dave on top of my wife. I'll never get that image out of my head. I'm literally crying as I write this down. I pushed the door wide open, and they both froze, staring at me. It took every ounce of my being not to beat the living hell out of Dave. I just walked away and got into my car. I could hear them scrambling, and my wife started screaming at me to stop, saying she could explain. I didn't want to look at her. I don't know what I would have done, so I just drove away. I cried the entire drive home, and they were both spamming me with calls. I went to one of my college friends' places and have been here for the past week or so. I can't eat, I can't sleep, and I can't think of anything else. I informed my work of what was going on, and they were kind enough to give me time off. I've been getting phone calls from both Dave and Sue, as well as both our families. I let my family know I was all right and would be back soon, but I haven't responded to anyone else ever since. This hurts so bad. I want to die. I want to be gone from this world, but I'm too much of a coward to do it myself. I'm trying to be strong, but my resolve is wavering. How can someone you love so selflessly do this? I don't know what to do. How do I deal with this? Please help me. Relevant comments. Commenter. Am I the only one having trouble feeling bad for Op? It was, oh, that's just Dave, when he watched his buddy cheat all the time. Now you're hurt that he slept with your wife? You were an idiot to tell your wife to spend time with a player, a coward to stand by while your friend betrayed his partners, and now you're being both stupid and cowardly for considering reconciliation. Op's response. I don't know what type of relationships or friendships you've had, but I don't think trusting my wife is stupid. Of course, I tried talking to Dave about his cheating. We had countless fights over it, some even physical. Because of this, I thought I would be the last person he'd want to talk to about his wife's passing. By the way, she was drunk the night she died after catching him cheating yet again. Update 8 days later. First off, I want to thank you all for your support and words of advice. You have made this time in my life somewhat bearable. Some of you shared your own stories, helping me realize that this is something I can come back from. I had many thoughts about Sewer Slide, but I think I'm past that now. Thank you so much for caring. Many of you have been asking me for an update, so here it is. Editor's note. Op linked an email he received from Sue, and here is a transcription of that email. I know you need your space right now, and I'm the last person you want to talk to, but I can't help myself. I feel like I'm going insane. I never meant for any of this to happen. You are the last person I ever wanted to hurt, and knowing the amount of pain and suffering I've caused you is a new kind of hell for me. It hurts, but I know you're hurting more. My relationship with Dave started out innocent. I never had any intention of it going anywhere near as far as it did. It just happened. I'm not going to lie to you and say this was the first time. We've had sex several times, as I'm sure you already know. You always knew. You're a very smart man, and that's one of the many things I adore about you. However, my relationship with Dave only became physical about a week before you found out. The rest of the time, it was only emotional. We connected on a much deeper level than I had intended, and things just escalated from there. I know you brought us closer with all the right intentions. You are the most caring person I have ever known, and I don't even know where to begin describing how sorry I am for what I did to you. I will never forget the hurt I saw in your eyes when you found out, and I'm going to live with that guilt for the rest of my life. I have feelings for Dave that I won't deny, but those feelings are nowhere near as strong as the feelings I have for you. I love you so much, Up. You are my soulmate, my everything. I know my actions would say otherwise, but it's the truth. Don't ever question my love for you. It's real. That part of our relationship has always been real. I don't know why I did it. I think it was the excitement of something new and the taboo of the whole situation, as cold as that sounds. I'm not trying to hurt you by saying this. I'm just trying to be honest. I genuinely don't know why I would do something like this to you. Of all people. I'm a vile, selfish person. That I can't deny. I did something unforgivable, and I can only ask for forgiveness. That's how selfish I am. I'm a hypocrite, and I know it. You have every right to hate me, and no one can blame you for it. But I want you to know that what I did had nothing to do with you. It wasn't your fault at all. Dave and I took advantage of your kindness, and for that, I'm sorry. I really am. He is too. There are so many things I want to say to you, but they have to be said in person. Take as much time as you need, but please, I'm begging you, give me the chance to make this right. Please come home. I love you. I don't know what to make of that. There are many more of those kinds of emails, but I wanted to share this one because it left me confused. I definitely don't know the person I married. What do you guys make of it? As many of you suggested, as well as family and friends, I contacted a lawyer and met with her yesterday. I gave her all the details, and she seems very motivated to help me come out of this as financially whole as possible, given the circumstances. I still love my wife dearly, but I don't know if this is something I can get over. I received lots of messages from Dave too, but I don't want to read them. I often switch from sorrow to rage and don't know how to feel right now. Should I try to see if reconciliation is possible, or should I just end this marriage now and save myself more heartbreak? My family knows everything. Apparently, Sue confessed what she had done to everyone. I've been away from everyone for more than 2 weeks now, and I still don't know what to do. The pain still feels fresh. Every time I close my eyes, I see nothing but Sue and Dave together, and the pain doesn't seem to be lessening. I know most of you are saying to just divorce, and I would say the same thing too, but things aren't that black and white when you're the one in this situation. Given all this new information, I'd appreciate any advice, particularly from people who've been here. Betrayed spouses and waywards, how did you manage to move past this? Is it even possible? Right now, I'm almost certain I'm going to move forward with the divorce, but I just need reassurance that I'm making the right decision. Edit. I've read all your comments and felt I needed to add this. I was told by her, as well as family and friends, that she has been living with her sister for the past few weeks. In one of her emails, she explained that she has only spoken to Dave once since I found out and went full no contact with him. Her mother called me and apologized for her daughter's behavior via text. I didn't pick up her calls. She said Sue is in individual counseling at the moment. In another one of her emails, she said she was never going to leave me for Dave. She has feelings for him, but she doesn't love him. Dave is supposedly leaving soon but is apparently holding off until he speaks to me face to face. There's a lot of other stuff I haven't addressed, and I'm probably leaving out some details, but some of my family and friends are saying I should just talk to her and move on from there. That's where I'm at now. Relevant comments. Commenter. Your wife is saying the exact same things that caught cheaters always say and never actually mean. She isn't sorry for what she did. She had multiple chances to make different choices, and she chose to be selfish every single time. She is only sorry she got caught and now has to face the consequences of her actions. If you hadn't caught her, she would still be cheating on you and would keep cheating until she did get caught, at which point she'd be trying to sell you the same line of BS she's trying to sell you now. There is no saving your marriage from this, not in any way that would be positive for your mental health and happiness. Ending the marriage will hurt, but once it's over, you can begin to heal, eventually move on with dating, and find someone as loyal to you as you deserve, which will never be your current wife, by the way. She's incapable of being loyal to anything except what she wants. Staying, on the other hand, will mean nothing but months or years, sometimes decades, of pain and distrust. You'll never fully heal, and you'll be stuck with someone who isn't loyal and never will be. Ops response. Thank you so much for your advice. The more I think about it, the more I realize I can't get past this. Second update 1 month 10 days later. So, I took some time off Reddit and other social media to reflect on my marriage and the steps I was going to take moving forward. I was getting lots of advice from the kind people here, as well as from family and friends. However, I wasn't sure what I really wanted. A lot has happened since then, so this might be a novel. Bear with me. When I looked back on the marriage, most of it was filled with little else but happy memories, which is why I was trying so hard to find a reason to stay. However, when I started thinking about her cheating, how she and Dave gaslit me and made me question my sanity, the only thing I felt was rage. The deeper I looked, the angrier I got. I will never forget how angry Sue would get when I questioned her about where she'd been when she came home late, or the disgusted look Dave gave me when I asked him, man to man, if there was anything going on between him and my wife. The cheating was bad enough, and even worse was that it was with my best friend. But the gaslighting. The effing gaslighting. I will never get over it. Fair enough, I was played like the fool I was, but it takes a special kind of person to lie so effortlessly and so well. I don't know how they were able to flip the switch like that. I remember one night, about 2 days before I found out, when she came home late, she was telling me how much she loved me and how excited she was while driving home, thinking about me. Now, I am almost certain she had just come from Dave's because she wasn't wearing any panties. She had segs with both of us back to back. I effing kissed her. This whole situation made me feel like a wimp. How could I have let them walk all over me like that? I feel so emasculated. The more I reflected, the more I got the urge to head over to Dave's, but I couldn't. There is no justice for me. Not with our justice system. They get to torment me, assault me mentally, but if I retaliate, I'm the one who gets put in jail for who knows how long. I spoke with my lawyer about this, and she urged me not to do anything stupid. Not only would I go to jail, but I would jeopardize my chances in the divorce proceedings. She suggested I see a therapist, but I don't want to. I don't see the need. I was still getting spammed with emails from Sue, and they were just making me angrier. She was still spewing the same nonsense as before about how miserable her life would be without me. She even had the nerve to send me Bible verses on forgiveness. If I mattered that much, why do it? I started going back to work because I wanted to be busy. Being distracted has really helped me cope better, and I don't drink as much as I did in the beginning. One day, while at work, I received a letter from Sue. I wanted to just throw it away but decided to read it. In it, she talked about her individual counseling and how it helped her discover some underlying issues she was dealing with. The biggest of all was her low self-esteem. She explained that the discrepancy in our attractiveness made her very self-aware and that, deep down, she wanted to feel desired by someone other than me. According to her, her sister has always been much prettier, and this contributed to her low self-esteem. She said that even though she knew I was attracted to her and that I made her feel beautiful, she sought that validation from someone else. She apologized again and said it wasn't an excuse but simply an explanation to ensure it never happens again, if I should decide to give her another chance. She then proceeded to ask if we could try marriage counseling to work things out. At this point, I was still ignoring everything she or her family sent me, so I just ignored it. Anyway, I started the divorce proceedings, and the first order of business was splitting our finances. Unfortunately, I couldn't untangle myself from her without her consent. We each have separate accounts, as well as a joint savings account, and I can't take what I'm entitled to from it without her. Even though I make significantly more than she does and have contributed the most to that account, I'll probably have to split it with her $50.50. So, I just proceeded with filing the divorce papers. She was served a few weeks ago, and then the crap show started. The very day she was served, she showed up at my apartment with a divorce petition in her hands. I don't know how she found out where I was. We just stared at each other for what felt like forever, and all the pain from that night came back. All the emotions I felt returned with renewed vigor. I almost teared up again, but I didn't. She looked like she had been crying, and she rushed toward me and tried to give me a hug. I gently pushed her away, and this somehow made her hysterical. She started shouting, asking why I was giving up on us so easily and if we could just talk it out. At this point, I just wanted to get away from her. Looking at her brought a wave of different emotions, so I wanted to leave before I did or said anything I would regret. I tried going back to my car, and she threw herself onto the hood. I asked her what she wanted, and she said she just wanted to talk things through, that we couldn't end our marriage in such a manner without at least clearing the air. I relented because she was clearly not taking no for an answer and was making a scene. We went into my apartment, and I just sat down and listened to what she had to say. Again, she said she would do anything to save our marriage, that she doesn't love Dave, that she's sorry. She said she did some research on how we could move forward and suggested a trial separation. In this separation, she said I could date whoever I wanted but should hold off on the divorce and at least give her the chance to mend our friendship and then our relationship as husband and wife. She suggested a lot of other crazy stuff, like a one-sided open marriage in my favor, showed me stories of other couples who survived infidelity, and even suggested that we move to a different state, or even that part hurt because we had talked about moving and starting our family not long before all this happened. When she was done, we just sat there in silence, staring at each other. Then I asked her why. Why him? Why cheat on me with him and then come back only after I caught her? She started sobbing really hard when I asked these questions. She said she felt guilty even during the affair but didn't know how to stop, that she was so deep in it that she didn't think of the consequences or what she was going to lose. She said counseling made her realize she probably would have cheated on me at some point, if not with Dave, then with someone else, because of the same underlying issues she hadn't been aware of. Then she admitted she had gotten pregnant after I left and had a termination because she wasn't sure who the father was. She said if it turned out to be Dave's, there would be no room for reconciliation. I was in shock. When I asked how far along she was when she found out, she said a few weeks. That's when it hit me. Wait, you said in an email that you only started having sex with Dave about a week before I found out. Was that a lie? She nodded. She effing nodded. That was it. I told her to leave and never come back. Now, a few days ago, my mom called to tell me Sue was in the hospital for a substance overdose. She's been checked into a psych ward. I don't know how to process any of this. I visited her, but she was asleep. It hurts because I still love her, and right now, I'm just happy she's okay. I haven't even been thinking about the divorce, given everything that's going on. How do I even proceed? I know I left out some details, but adding them would make this unbearably long. I just need suggestions on what to do next. Third update, 6 months later. I was hoping my last update would be my final post on this matter, but here I am again. It's been about 8 months since my life turned into a crap show, and unfortunately for me, things just keep getting worse. I'm not going to go into detail, but I hope I can provide enough context to get some constructive feedback from you here. You've been far more helpful than you know. The last time I posted, Sue was in a pretty bad mental state, but fortunately, she got better after some therapy. I felt really bad for her, but I knew I couldn't stay. I know a lot of people have made it through this kind of stuff, but I know myself, had I stayed, I'd only be doing more harm than good, both to myself and to her. I'll never get over it and will probably harbor some resentment even years from now. We agreed to divorce, but she wanted us to remain in contact, even if just minimally. The divorce process was pretty smooth, and we finalized it about a month ago. I moved to the West Coast to start fresh, and things were finally starting to look up for me. But then I got a phone call about Sue from her sister. Long story short, Sue suffered a stroke. She is almost completely immobile on the left side of her body and can barely speak. I can't even put into words how effing devastating that was to hear, let alone how crushed I felt when I went to visit her. She looked nothing like the person I knew, and she'd always cry when she saw me. One of the worst parts of all this is that I can't help but feel like it's my fault. People tell me it isn't, but I can't shake the feeling that it is. Even though her closest family members say it's not my fault, I can sense some hostility from them whenever I speak to them. Her aunt cussed me out in front of everyone when she saw me, and they were all silent. They just asked me to leave it alone and get on with my life. As much as I wish I could just move on, it still hurts